Welcome along to the Marduk Arena for this, the first of the Hula Hoops NICC men's semi-finals between Dublin Lions and UCC Demons. I'm Conor Meany and I'm joined by Pat Price here in commentary. Welcome along, Pat.
Thank you very much, Conor. Great to be here.
Dublin Lions get off to a great start there with Chris McInerney hitting a long-range three-pointer. What are you going to be looking out for in this game today, Pat?
Well, there's a bit more youth on the Dublin Lions team, but the experience is with Demons. So, you know, how that plays out, especially as the game goes into its later stages, you know, that's something to keep an eye on.
Demons, of course, won this competition last year and have a number of the players back again this year. And two of the players, of course, to watch out for, Shane Collin and Shane McCarthy, who were central to a lot of that good work last year. Good ball movement there by Demons. Of course, this is also Demons, one of their home courts. So Shane Collin in particular has had a number of huge performances in this gym over the years.
Well, look, they first moved into this facility in 2002, and they've had an awful lot of success since then. They're very comfortable here. We are absolutely rolling back the years when I look out onto the court now, and I'm seeing Shane McCarthy, who I coached in 1998, playing alongside of David Lehane, and his father was also on that 1998 team. And David, if I had to connect the dots, David played on the Ireland under-16 squad that was in European Championships this summer. So,
fantastic. Which, of course, Pat, you were coaching and did a fantastic job with the guys. One of the best finishes that Ireland have had at under-16 men's level.
Well, when you have kids like David Lehane, you know, they tend to make coaches look smart. So, you know, I don't know if looking out there seeing those guys is a testament to Shane McCarthy's longevity, or I'm just old, you know.
They can both be true. Shane McCarthy drives there to the basket, and we'll go to the line for two. Oh no, it's going to be from the out of bounds from the baseline. It's still 3-0 here to Dublin Lions. Of course, Dublin Lions also play in the National League Division 1. It's they've been one of the developing clubs in Dublin over the last couple of years and have had some of the brightest young talent come out of their club. Aidan Harris, of course, is the one that most people would know, who is over in America at the moment and would be kind of on the radars of a lot of big Division 1 schools, Pat. Something that the type of caliber of school that not many Irish players have ever been looked at before.
No, he's a serious talent, and you know, I think we would be fortunate, you know, as he progresses through the academic setup over there in the States, that we could still get him back on national team duty. I think that would be great. Yeah,
it'd be fantastic to see him in a green jersey at some stage. Good defense there by Dublin Lions. They're going to push the ball well in transition, and that's a lovely finish by Stephen Kinvey. Stephen did a great job there pushing the ball. Dublin Lions at all age groups have a lot of athletic players, and that was a great athletic finish there by Stephen. But apologies, the scoreboard, we just updated there. The score is currently 5 points to 2 for Dublin Lions. Long range shot, no good. And it's a Demons ball going out. Demons, of course, were in the Super League semi-final last night, but they came up short against Temple in what was a very tight game for about 3.5 quarters, Pat, but ultimately kind of Demons' lack of depth was their undoing.
Yeah, exactly. That they needed to play a flawless game, really. You know, when you don't have depth, you're at the mercy of foul trouble, fatigue. You know, if one or two guys is having an off night, you can't even you know, with your rotation.
Yep.
So it was only a matter of time that result played out.
And the other issue that Demons can sometimes have is that they more naturally play at a higher pace. They like pushing the ball, which when you only have 6 or 7 guys, it's not actually the way if you could slow down the game and kind of kill it, you can kind of last a little bit longer.
That's right. The traditional Demons game would be get that ball up the floor.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, with shorter rotations, that's difficult. Carmody's had 2 great moves now,
that's a lovely move inside there by Liam Carmody. Attack from the high post, one dribble all the way to the basket. Really nice.
Well, his first attack a few possessions ago, he got into the lane and finished on a reverse layup with his inside hand, kind of a high-end finish. You know?
Very nice. Good defense there, and the Demons with the long outlet pass. It looks like it's going to be too long. but they managed to gain control of the ball. Shane Collin left wide open. And that's something that Dublin Lions aren't going to be able to do. Shane's been one of the best scorers and best shooters in the country for...
I'm not sure they recognize him.
Yeah. they need to look at that scouting report a little bit closer, because...
Right. Yeah.
Shane is a man who, of course, has played in, I think he played in 10 Super League Cup finals, which is an incredible achievement alone, and then obviously another one last year in this NICC competition. But he kind of came to prominence in cup finals in the early 2000s when Demons kind of won those back-to-back cups, and the first year I think it was 2 free throws by Shane to seal the game, and
That's
then
right.
the following year was a big kind of overtime victory in the Cork Derby against Neptune. So Shane's obviously a very well-known name for everyone.
Well, without having any history books in front of me, I would venture a guess he's played more top-level cup games than anybody in the history. In terms of just the sheer number of games he's played in.
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple of years ago when we actually played them in the cup final, it was going to be both Shane and Niall O'Reilly were both playing in their 10th cup final each at that stage, which is a testament to just that success that you were talking about that Demons have had over the last 15 to 20 years. Nice there inside by Shane. He's starting to come into the game a little bit more, and Demons now lead by 11 points to 5 midway through this first quarter. We got 4.5 minutes on the clock. Shane McCarthy daring Callanan to shoot there. Shane open for 3 and another 3, and it's going to lead to a timeout here for Dublin Lions as Demons race out to a 14-5 lead. Welcome back from this timeout. So let's see what Dublin Lions are going to be able to do, if there's any changes that we'll see straight away. I'd imagine that Tom Doherty's trying to warn his players to close out on to Shane Collin, but that's a lovely putback there.
Well, I think defensively there was a little bit of lack of awareness there. Their closeouts weren't there, and if you don't close out on guys with talent, the basket appears so big. On the offensive end, that possession that they had coming out of the timeout was the first time that they really showed any kind of shape.
Yeah, and that's a nice move inside and an M1 opportunity here. Sonali Drame did a great job getting all the way to the basket, drew the foul, and had a nice finish. So that's a good, and Tom Doherty will be delighted with that coming out of the timeout. A couple of quick baskets and a chance to reduce the lead to just 4 points here if he makes this free throw. He's no good with the free throw. Good rebound by Shane. Of course, Pat, this is also a well-known gym for shooters. They tend to like this gym. The rims are quite soft. So it just adds to that, how you just can't give that little bit of space to any good players. And that's a lovely outside shot there.
Well, Carmody's been terrific so far. He's very, very at ease on the floor. 2 great finishes inside, and then no hesitation there on knocking down the 3.
Yeah, he's a very confident player. He's done a great job so far. It's going to be the likes of him that Demons are going to be looking in the next year or two. That Super League bench, they need those kind of young players stepping up, and it'd be great to see him kind of adding to their depth. Shane with a no good from 3 there. A good rebound by Sonali again, and he draws the foul. It's 17-9 here with 2:56 to go in this first quarter. Another good attack to the basket and a nice athletic finish there by Stephen Kinvey. A lovely drive to the basket, Pat.
Well, look, if they have good spacing, Kinvey's fairly athletic, and he was a jet getting through that gap there. So they're going to have to look to do more of that in the absence of kind of continuity or structure.
One of the challenges that they're going to have, though, is that they're going to have to be able to knock down some outside shots to kind of draw out the defense. Shane McCarthy and Shane Cullen are probably going to stand back and wait for Dublin Lions to prove themselves as shooters, so that they know that Demons know that they don't have the athletic advantage, so they're going to try and play a little bit smarter with their. And as I say that, Shane makes a move to the basket. Dublin Lions push the ball in transition again. Nice pass. All the way inside, and another nice finish there by Stephen Kinvey. He's coming into the game quite nicely. He's had a couple of nice baskets.
He is, and on each occasion, again, he's using his speed to just, simple step arounds. He's just getting past guys, simple as. And if you're the low man, if you're not in a defensive position there, you're making Kinvey's job very easy.
Demons don't have a huge amount of height inside, so when he does get to the basket, he's going to be able to finish. It's a tough fadeaway shot, but a lovely shot there. Turnaround jump shot from the baseline. Carmody again, who's been probably the bright spark this first quarter. Himself and Shane Collin have helped Demons build this 19-13 lead. Again, Shane McCarthy dares Darren Callanan to shoot the ball. It can often be tough, Pat, when you're not guarded at all. It's often harder to shoot than when you have someone guarding you.
That's right. That much space also leaves that much room for thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looked like he kind of was unsure whether he wanted to shoot it, but then he felt he had to shoot it. And when you get to that stage, it can often be to the detriment of the shooter.
And the look of regret that overcame him upon release.
Outside shot there, and a lovely outside shot by Daniel Thompson. Another 3 there by Demons. What's disappointing for Dublin Lions there is as they drew it back, they got the lead back to just 5, and then all of a sudden Demons have opened it back out to 9 points here.
Well, Thompson had come into the game just on the previous whistle. It's not often you see a guy on his first touch can knock the 3 down.
Oftentimes,
so he came off the bench ready to play.
Yeah, definitely. Oftentimes coaches don't really want you to shoot that shot because you want to kind of get a touch of the ball, get involved a little bit before you shoot that shot, but he stepped in and knocked it down confidently. Shane Collin pulls up from 3. You could see he was shaping up to pull up from 3 from about his own 3-point line. He was getting ready.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lovely take inside. Another and-1 finish by Sonali Drame. Did a great job there. A great gather as the defense fouled him, and he finished inside with the foul. It's 22-15. An opportunity to get it back here to a 6-point game. 40 seconds left in this first quarter.
Well, for Lions, keeping the ball in Drame's hands and Kinvey's hands, letting them continue to drive and attack. But they're going to need to tighten up their defense. Their defense very lax right now, and there's so much just experience of scoring. Not just scorers, but experience of scorers. They know how to score. They're very savvy.
Yeah.
And they can't have that kind of space.
Lovely pass by Shane Collin, and Carmody again for 3. He's been fantastic so far in this first quarter.
Carmody has not missed a shot yet. He's 2 for 2 on 3, and he's knocked down 3 great layups.
The worry so far for Dublin Lions defense, there isn't a huge amount of intensity to even what they're trying to do. A nice take inside there When you sit back against Demons, particularly in the Mardike, they can rip you apart. And 24 points in this first quarter has shown just exactly what they're able to do. That kind of duo of Shane Collin and Carmody are combining fantastically from all over the floor. First free throw is no good. We've got just 2 seconds on the clock here in the first quarter. Demons lead by 8. Second one, no good either. And that should be the end of the first quarter, which it is. Demons lead by 24 points to 16 at the end of this first quarter in the NICC semi-final. Welcome back to the second quarter. There was just a correction there on our scoreboard. The score is 24 points to 16. We had it as 25-16. Tough shot. Nice rebound by the Dublin Lions. The second chance opportunity here. Darren Callanan, who of course played for Marie National League Division 1 there. Would look quite similar to Colin O'Reilly going up and down this floor.
It'd be a stunt double.
Yeah. Oh, nice finish inside there by Demons. Nice move by Shane O'Connell. That's a 10-point lead. Dublin Lions could do with Darren shooting the ball quite like Colin O'Reilly in the next couple of minutes to get them past this 16-point mark and back in contention here. Tom Doherty's an experienced coach, though. He won't be panicking too soon, but what Dublin Lions could do with a little bit of a rise in intensity here, that when you play against smart players like this, they'll pick you apart if you don't get up on top of them. Nice drive to the basket, no good though, miss. Shane Collin pushes the ball. Good defense there by Lions. It's going to be Demons end line ball, 14 seconds to go on the shot clock. We'll see what they do out of this. Ball reversed up to Shane Collin. Nice turnaround bank shot there. A great job by David Lahan. A confident move there. So many of these Demons players, Pat, and it's kind of part of their DNA, is that they're very confident offensive players, lovely shooters, guys who've been doing it up in the parochial hall and here all their lives, really.
Well, you know, the one thing I've always said about the Demons club players, they identify as basketball players first.
Yeah.
And from a very young age, they're not only told that they're Demons, but that they're Demons for life.
Yeah.
And
Demons till we die.
Demons till we die. And there's almost an expectation that you're going to become a pretty good player.
Yeah. Corner three, no good. But the ball's stolen right underneath the basket, but it's a miss, unfortunately, for Dublin Lions there. Chris McInerney did a great job stealing the ball, but unfortunately missed the layup. And the lead is still 12. Long range three for Demons, no No good. Darren Callanan with the rebound.
So Demons have Blake Murphy on the court now, also a very talented GA star in Cork and up and coming.
That's a nice long range two. His foot on the line there by Sonali Drame.
6 points.
That moves him to 6 points so far in the game. Long range three there for our team. It's no good, and a long outlet pass, but it's stolen, unfortunately. They're the sort of mistakes that the missed layups, those kind of turnovers are the ones that Dublin Lions can't afford to have in these sort of games. Chris McInerney for three. Just long, unfortunately, and Shane McCarthy with a good rebound, and he slows the pace down. Again, it's just having that kind of older leadership there, the likes of Shane McCarthy, who are able to manage the game. He may not score that much in all the games, but he knows exactly the kind of how to manage the tempo and get his younger teammates to do exactly what's needed. And again, a nice finish inside there by David Lehan, his second turnaround jump shot in a row.
I tell you, coming back after David scored, he turned to go up the floor and he rolled his ankle. There was nobody near him. It just came over awkwardly. I think they're gonna sub him off here.
We have a timeout from Demon, so we'll see whether he's injured or whether he comes back on afterwards. Welcome back after that timeout. Dave Lehan is still there on the floor. Let's see exactly how he's moving. He doesn't look to be too bad, so probably just turned it quickly and hopefully he's all right. But it doesn't help him that his man just hit a jump shot in his face to welcome him back onto the court.
Well, the first possession after a timeout, both either offensively or defensively, is usually fairly telling. It's a big stop inside there.
Yeah, great job by Darren Callanan. Moves the ball, and unfortunately a travel again. These are the little mistakes that Dublin Lions just can't afford. Tom Doherty there on the sidelines, very frustrated with his team. That when you're down by 10 points, they need to just keep chipping away, and they can't afford to have the kind of little mistakes, especially against a team like Demons, who invariably go down the court and score when you make mistakes. And that's a lovely backdoor cut by Lehan, and a lovely pass by Shane Collin. It seemed always playing Super League against Demons that anytime we were down here and you had a big turnover, a silly turnover, it would always invariably lead to a three-pointer that would just break your heart.
Well, it's a trademark of good teams. It is.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, the team that can punish mistakes. For years, I thought that the best in the country at doing that was Adrian Fulton at Belfast, a star, and boy, you make a mistake back then against them, they would absolutely destroy you.
You, of course, were coaching Adrian's son during the summer. He was playing up a year with the under-16 Irish team, CJ, who you can tell already has a lot of the kind of traits and sees a lot of the game in a similar way to his dad.
He does. You know, what a bright future for the young Fulton fella. He's you know, again, born with a ball in his hand.
Yeah, definitely.
His IQ is off the charts.
Yeah.
It really is.
He's not the biggest point guard, so it's going to be a matter of him figuring out how to make the most of his physical abilities. But certainly the brain is there, and he's going to do a lot. Darren Callanan again being tempted into shooting it, and he managed to knock down that one. The lead is 12 at the moment.
Well, I would imagine right now that the bench contributions from Demons is up around 12. You know, the number of points contributed. Dave Lehan himself has 8.
Yeah.
And Dave was actually matched up against Oisin Rice, who was introduced there off the bench, and they were teammates on the Irish under-16 team. So Rice also playing up a few notches here.
That's one of the good things of this competition, is that it does give young players an opportunity to play kind of at senior level. You tend to see a few Super League players who come down who are maybe at the end of their careers, and it's great for those young players to be able to learn from being teammates with guys like the knowledge that someone like a Shane Collin or a Darren Callanan who've played National League or Super League can pass on to those young players.
Absolutely.
Is invaluable.
Yeah, no, great point, and as you said, a nice transition for them.
Shane Collin again in the post. Face up jump shot. Good. Trademark Shane Collin there. 36-22, 4:42 left in this half. Demons threatening to kind of pull away and make this an insurmountable lead, but Dublin Lions still battling away. Darren Callanan draws a foul. Of course, Darren would have been part of those Marie teams at Division 1 level that were so successful for a number of years. They barely lost any games, and they've stepped up to Super League level for the first time this year. And after a slow start, they've really come into their own in the last couple of games. Have won, I think, 3 of their last 4, including a big derby win over Moycullen just before Christmas. It's great to see 2 teams in Galway playing in the men's Super League.
Absolutely. Again, you know, that any opportunity to drive on the sport locally also eventually contributes to the National League squads.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, but you need to have kind of aspirational squads in each of these cities. You know,
Definitely.
It's why the loss over the years of teams in, you know, Waterford and Ballina and things like that. It's great to have a high level team in each of those locations.
Certainly. Yeah, it's Sligo are doing a lot of great work over there in the West at Division 1 level, and exactly as you said, Pat, it would be fantastic to see at Super League level. The geographical spread has improved a lot now in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
It's still a little too Dublin dominant. There's still probably definitely too many Dublin teams in the Super League. It would be better to have around 5 rather than the 7 that there is now, but that's a lovely outside shot by Chris McInerney, and the lead is back to 13. But the more teams that we're able to kind of get around the country, it's better for the league. That it's great. Ballina was one of my favorite places to go early in my career. It's the atmosphere down there was fantastic, and the town really gets behind basketball, so it'd be great to see a place like that to get back on that level.
Absolutely. You know, similarly, you know, it's exciting to see kind of the emergence or the re-emergence in Kerry.
Yeah,
you know, with the 2 clubs in Kerry now, and you know, the Killarney squad getting full houses there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I was talking to Jason Killeen yesterday, and one of the exciting things is also it's not just at senior level. There was the Billy Kelly last year, the under-17 tournament was won by a Kerry team, which of course is fantastic to see. Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for when you can have teams down in Kerry where they absolutely love basketball. And I think one of the areas that you'd love to see maybe a couple more teams springing up is up north, up in Belfast again, because a couple of years ago there was a number of kind of National League teams up there, and of course there's UUJ are in Division 1 and Belfast Star they're in Super League at the moment, but Dungannon and Tyrone Towers and a couple of different clubs that were there over the years. It would be great to see Northern Irish basketball continue to to kind of develop up and have more teams. Of course, LYAT in Donegal are doing a good job in Division 1 there as well. They finished 8th, I believe, in the first half of the season. The score is currently 40-25. We've got 2:45 to go here in the first half. Pat, what are you looking for if you're Tom Doherty as the Lions coach in this last kind of 2.5 minutes?
Well, they're going to need the great combination, which is they can't give up anymore, and they're going to need to score. But when you're trailing by this much, you know, your attack has to be continuous, because the best way to cut into this type of lead is when the clock is dead, which means you got to draw fouls and put points on the board when the clock's not running.
Yep. Well, Tom is taking a timeout, so he'll be passing on some of that knowledge, no doubt, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. As I said, 2.5 minutes to go. Let's see if Dublin Lions can get a stop here. Troy O'Mahony, no doubt, has set up something for Demons coming out this time out. Shane McCarthy here at the high post. Ryan Murphy, a tough shot. Ryan was fantastic in the NICC final last year against UCD Marion, who of course are in the second semi-final against League Slip, which is going to be a challenge for myself and yourself, Pat, saying some of the names on that team. But
well, I was up late last night prepping.
A consummate professional. The League Slip team are actually here already, and we're sitting in the stands. And one of the things that was very noticeable as they walked in is that there's a lot of height there on that team that isn't kind of on show here with either of these two teams. That's a lovely finish inside by Liam Carmody. Demons again have opened up a lead, 17 points. It's a tough turnover for Dublin Lions. Heads are down pretty quickly.
The color patterns remarkably similar with referees in the Dublin Lion uniform.
Yeah, true.
So, although the referee was open.
Yes, that's true. Dublin Lions could probably do with the referees kind of playing with them for part of this game to try and eat into this lead that's ballooned out to 17 at the moment. It's kind of in danger territory for Dublin Lions. The worry for a Dublin Lions team is that they don't seem to have a huge amount of scoring power, so it's not going to be easy for them to get back into the game. That's a nice finish inside by Stuart Rogers, who also draws a foul. Demons could be up at kind of the 50-point mark by the half here, which, if you're Dublin Lions, that's just too many points to be given up in this sort of game.
Yeah, they'd have a massive hill to climb in the second half. Again, they haven't demonstrated, you know, the firepower, as you said.
Of course, in last year's semi-final, I think it was a 38-point performance by Niall O'Reilly helped Demons get to the final. He's not playing this year on this team because he's contributing a little bit with the Super League team. I think more out of necessity than anything else. But Niall, again, another one of those players with such a great basketball brain that he can play for as long as he really wants. And that's another nice finish inside by Demons. The lead is 21 points. Darren Callanan will go to the line to shoot 2. 35 seconds to go in this first half. As I mentioned, the second game today will be League Slip against UCD Marion. Both teams have already played in the Dublin Division 1 League. It was a close game, so we should be expecting what will be hopefully a very good game.
Marion beating them by 6 in the Dublin League, and Mazvidis Chapelowskis had spoken with me prior to the game, and he said that they're using that game not only for preparation but a little bit of motivation, that they're not going to take their opponent for granted.
No, definitely not, and that Marion team have been doing a good job in Dublin Division 1 for the last couple of years, and of course we're in this final against Demons last year and narrowly lost. They were plagued by the most South County Dublin issue last year, Pat, where their starting point guard was a DNP because of skiing during the National Cup final.
Not a skiing stronghold.
Yes. We got 5 seconds left here in this first half. Are the Lions going to get off a shot? It's a long 3 for Chris McInerney on the buzzer, and it's short. So Demons have opened up a 49 to 26 point lead. We'll join you for the second half shortly. Welcome back to the second half of this, the first of the two Hula Hoops NICC men's semi-finals. Top scorers in that first half for Demons were Liam Carmody with 13 and Shane Collin with 10. For Dublin Lions, Stephen Kinvey led the way with 8 points, and both Chris McInerney and Sonali Drain both had 6. So Demons have opened up a 23-point lead. Shane Collin with a 3 to start the game, and that's not the way that Dublin Lions would have wanted to start this third quarter. Exactly the way that Demons would have wanted it.
Well, they picked up where they left off. Again, when you have a shooter like Colin, you have to make him a dribbler. You know, you have to belly up to him and make him put the ball on the floor. That, you know, historically, statistically, lowers field goal percentage, getting a shooter to be a dribbler.
Ryan Murphy with a nice finish inside for a nice pass from Shane McCarthy. One of the big differences that you kind of see at this level, Pat, is that like in local league you can often step back off people and they may not punish you as much as you can kind of play hopeful defense at times where teams will miss and you'll be able to punish them for it. But at this level, where you do have a couple of guys with that extra bit of quality, they're going to punish you every time for that.
Yeah, and you couple that now with just multiple years experience at you know, not just this level, but you know, Super League level, and the number of cup games that they've gone through, and guys know how to get through those once-off games.
Yeah, definitely. And the cup, after a long barren spell kind of in the 80s and 90s for Demons, has really been part of their DNA for the last few years. They've, of course, won it numerous times. I think the last time was 2015, in their undefeated season. Unfortunately, I was on the receiving end of that cup final where they absolutely destroyed us. But that team was absolutely fantastic. To go in an entire season unbeaten is a remarkable achievement at any level. And they played, not only did they go undefeated, but they played some just beautiful basketball. Like you said, in transition, pushing it, a lot of three-pointers. Shane Collin, Kyle Hosford run the show, Adrian O'Sullivan, Kieran O'Sullivan. Lamont Colbert was probably at his best as well at that stage. So,
you know, and years ago when, you know, the club really started to get kind of back to its winning ways, probably the most important thing was to create this success cycle where younger players now winning championships and winning trophies was something tangible. They were actually there to see it happen. It wasn't some fantasy story from the 80s.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we're currently trying to manufacture in Marion at the moment. We're trying to break that kind of long cycle without as many trophies as you'd like. And it's a very difficult thing. It becomes a culture thing in a club where there's that expectation, as you said, not only with the players and Demons, the young players expect to be very good basketball players, but they also expect to be winners. And it's something that really needs to be ingrained at all levels. And it's probably something, Pat, at international level is also a thing for Ireland that I think the under-18 girls showed this year what our Irish teams are capable of. And it's a matter of just believing and knowing that the Europeans and different things aren't this scary proposition anymore, that Irish players are good enough to be able to compete. Because I think historically a lot of I know certainly when I was younger that on Irish teams there was this it was almost like the Europeans were this kind of mythical thing that you were going to go to in a few years' time, and when you couldn't see games because the streaming for FIBA and different things wasn't there, you'd never seen Europeans, and it was just this thing that was talked about. And then when you actually got there, you're kind of like, oh wow, and then it took you a couple of games to actually figure out what you can and can't do. But now as kind of players see more of the Europeans, streaming is there, they can see the A division, they can see the B division, and players are kind of more ready to kind of go over and compete, I think.
Absolutely. Look, this you know, comes from setting expectations that one are realistic too, but you also have to couple that with all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
And you know, it's that same whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
and so, you know, setting the bar higher.
Yep.
Setting the bar higher. That participation or making the team isn't the end of it.
Yep.
You know, getting there and coming up with results. It's doable.
Yes.
It's certainly attainable.
Definitely, and it's one of the big things that I certainly like to see more of is Irish players see now that the game, the international game, is so much more accessible, and European basketball is so much more accessible, even at the professional level, at EuroLeague and different things. For kids over here to be watching some of that basketball rather than just watching NBA, which, because the nature of the game is so different, and one of the big things that is a difference for a lot of those European teams is that they grow up watching this basketball. They know exactly the way it's played. It's second nature to them, whereas when you don't watch European basketball has got a very particular style to it. It's not always the style that's played in Ireland, so it's something that people need to kind of get more accustomed to, and it's I think it's just by watching more and seeing it exactly that you can then be more prepared for it.
Absolutely, and again, you see the expectations being set out, and but then you have to follow through on it. You have to follow through, and I think that I always have this memory of when we won the Cup in 2003. It was the first time since 1986 that Demons had won the Cup, and probably about 45 minutes after the game had ended, I got a text message, and it was from Jim Deneen, the stalwart of Demons and the man who drives this engine.
A great man.
And an incredible servant to Irish basketball. But I get a text message from Jim Deneen that says, "First of many."
Yeah.
So he, as in don't get caught up with just one now. Like he and we sit here, and it's funny we mentioned Jim Deneen. He's sitting here, front row, center, as he has been for 50 years. Demons Club is 51 years old this year, and he's been here for all 51 years.
It's remarkable how many, when you go into the different gyms around the country, it's the likes of Jim Deneen who really are the ones that have the game, got the game to the place that it is today, and have kind of been I don't know what the term is for the people who kind of have protected the game for so long and helped to grow it and foster it. And
well, in the States they would say the guardians of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And by somebody like Jim Deneen creating the standards within Demons, what that does is that, they say a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
So I don't think it's a stretch to say he's impacted the development of the game across the country.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you have a nearby neighbor like Neptune who wouldn't be satisfied that Demons are able to start winning trophies, and then standards have to rise. And it's certainly one of the things. It's amazing, really, the amount of work the likes of Jim Deneen, but there's so many of them, as I said, around the country that, with little or no attention that they ever get for it, it's not something that they're never going to be written about in the papers or anything else like that, and yet it's something that they do for the love of the game, and it's really a love of kind of contributing to the community as well. It's I think in Ireland sometimes we only ever look at what the GAA can do in the community, but there's a lot of great work also done in the community within basketball clubs. It may not be at the same kind of scale, but there's certainly a lot done, and it's a testament to a lot of those people.
Absolutely. And Demons' last 3 baskets here are the old school Demons. That's quick outlet and quick look up the floor, breakaway layups. They've extended the lead now to something kind of insurmountable, I'd say, for Dublin Lions. It's 65-28 with 4 minutes remaining in the third.
Yeah, Dublin Lions certainly look like a beaten team. Unfortunately, they've been slow to get back on defense. That's another kind of wide open layup that they've given, and unfortunately this could escalate to a point that it may not be pretty on the scoreboard. Hopefully Dublin Lions are able to keep pushing and fighting. That's a nice drive to the basket, but unfortunately a miss. Shane McCarthy with the rebound, who tries the outlet pass but gets fouled. We've got 3:43 left in this third quarter. There's mass substitutions, 5 on, 5 off for Dublin Lions. Dublin Lions are bringing back in that starting 5. Tom Doherty had run the bench there, but I think he'd be disappointed with some of their transition defense. It's one of these things, Pat, if you don't have the talent on your side, you really need to win the kind of hustle battle, and unfortunately I think Dublin Lions haven't been able to win that hustle battle either so far. The effort not the effort, but they just haven't been able to kind of get to those loose balls, and kind of sloppy enough turnovers have been kind of frustrating for them.
Sure. Well, I tell you, if you took Callanan off the Dublin Lions roster,
Yeah.
I would dare to say that Shane Cullen has more experience at senior level than all the rest of the Dublin Lions combined.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that. That's a nice three from outside.
Dave
David
Lahan
Lahan.
made great contributions. He is absolutely going to be a star, this kid. He's got such a temperament for the game. He's a competitor. He's a student of the game. He wants to learn. And he's got terrific size for a perimeter player at 6'3", broad shoulders. He really is going to be a terrific player.
Yeah, he's been fantastic so far today, and I think, Pat, there's certainly a lot of young Irish talent now that we're starting to get rangier players that probably haven't been, we haven't really had too many of in the past, and there's some fantastic Irish talent over in America at the moment, of course. John Carroll is probably, well, he's definitely headlining it. He looks set to become the first Irish player to average double digits Division 1 NCAA, which is a fantastic achievement, and it's not Hartford are a very good team as well, and it's not like he's scoring in blowout losses or anything else. He's contributing to wins, and is having a fantastic junior year.
John he's an absolutely fierce competitor.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of flew a little bit under the radar domestically. You know, he had done those few years in high school in the States, and he went off to the Hill School to play under Seth Eilberg, one of the best coaches, you know, on the East Coast. And from there, he just blossomed. He entered the Hill School not having any Division I offers, and by the time he finished, I think he was on 7 or 8 offers.
Okay, well.
So he's a kid who continued to get better, and you know, he's overcome a knee injury.
Yeah.
And but he's a terrific player.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. I remember when he had first gone over to America, he came back one of the summers, and he was probably only 16 or probably about 16 at that stage, and he came and scrimmaged with us in Oatlands, and full of talk, and he was a fierce competitor, and no, he's a fantastic player, and I got to see him a little bit practicing with the senior men's Irish team last summer, and he was very impressive. He's lost some of the explosiveness with that injury, but I think he's developed kind of the rest of his game a lot more, and he's now a very confident shooter, and he looks like he's set to have a very promising career ahead of him. My own Super League coach, Yanis Leopakis, of course, is the assistant coach at the senior men's team under Pete Strickland, and Yanis was working with him this summer, and Yanis, of course, is from Greece and would know quite a lot about European basketball, and he really believes that John has a very bright future at the professional level ahead of him, because he kind of has the body that those European teams are looking for, and he's able to stretch the floor. He's able to do exactly he kind of fits into a perfect niche that I think Conor Grace made a great career for himself in a similar sort of vein.
Sure, and look at there's something to be said for drive.
Yeah.
You know, and he has that, and he's never satisfied.
Yep.
He'll continue to develop, you know, alongside, you know, guys like Jordan Blunt and some of these other guys that are coming through. I think the senior level, you know, has a chance to put something together here over the next few years.
Yeah, certainly. And as you mentioned with the Dublin Lions guys, of course, Aidan at 6'11", Max has also gone over, and I believe he's been offered by Penn State. He's at 6'10", so the idea that you could have in only 2 or 3 years maybe 4 or 5 guys who are kind of 6'6" and above, who've all played Division 1 NCAA basketball, would be a fantastic base for that Irish team. We're just finishing the quarter here, 2.5 seconds to go. It's currently a 33-point lead. Demons ball from the baseline here. We'll see if they can extend that lead going into the fourth quarter. They inbound the ball. It's a halfway line shot on the buzzer. Looks a little short, and it is. The score is 69-36. We'll join you after the end of this quarter break. Okay, welcome back to this fourth quarter. Demons in full control here, looking to just finish out this game. Shane Collin looking very relaxed on the bench. Doesn't look like he'll be doing any more work today, but we'll see. Troy O'Mahony, of course, is the coach here of this Division 1 team. He was Collin's assistant coach for that undefeated season. Troy, again, another one of those characters who puts in a huge amount into the game. A nice coast-to-coast finish there.
Uncontested.
Yeah. A nice finish by Ryan Murphy, who I believe is Dave Murphy's cousin?
He'd be a Dave Murphy cousin. Yes, he would be, or nephew actually.
Oh, nephew.
Yes, he'd be a nephew of David Murphy and grandson of the legendary Coach Murphy, who has produced player upon player in that Demons Academy.
One thing
Shawnee Murphy.
Yeah, I love seeing pictures of Shawnee still up in the parochial hall, still teaching young kids, and he still has a love for developing kids down here in Cork, which is fantastic. And Dave, of course, was a fantastic player. Didn't end up playing Super League for quite as long as he maybe could have. He had a lot of success early on. I don't know, Pat, would he have been at the tail end of your
I coached David for several years,
Yeah.
because he would have, the years that I was coaching the Super League, I was also coaching the under-19.
Yeah.
So I had Dave for a couple of years with that, and then a few years with the Super League, and what a terrific kid.
Oh, fantastic.
And he had some job opportunities out
Yep.
of the country and things like that, so I know domestically he hadn't played as much, but he's a great fella, great mind for the game as well. I also had the opportunity to work with him at UCC.
Oh, yeah. Am I right in saying that you actually won? I know that Dave won the under-19 cup. It was,
He was the captain of the under-19 team.
It was actually, I believe it was a year above his age group that they won, because it was against Colester and Isaac Westbrooks and that team.
That's correct, 2004.
Yeah. Now, Dave was, back in our underage days, was my kind of roommate, the one that he'd stay up in our house, I'd stay down here when we were training. A great guy. One of those people that, I think one of the things about Irish basketball is that you can walk into any of these gyms and meet people that you haven't seen in 10 years, and you're instantly kind of back with them, and Dave's one of those guys. I know he's become a father in the last few months, and
and when you compete, day in and day out against these people, what you eventually, what comes away after the battles is respect.
Yeah.
So years later, you'd be bumping into them and you share stories.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember being up in Galway 2 years ago and hadn't seen him in years, but all of a sudden Scott Summersgill comes walking across the room and gives me a big hug. And I say, 15 years ago, he'd give me a few digs, but now it's turned into hugs. And at the same time, we almost mentioned that. Isn't it great that all of the competitiveness eventually becomes respect?
Yeah, definitely. Scott was one of the toughest players to guard. When Dylan Payne just hit that three there for Dublin Lions, I found guarding Scotty was incredibly difficult when I first came up to Super League. He was. I remember actually seeing a game out in Vincent's before I played Super League, and my brother Kev still give him grief about it. He drove to the basket, and Scotty Summersgill, at 5'9" on a good day, came in and absolutely pinned him to the backboard. He was just an incredible character, and part of those amazing star teams that had Adrian Fulton, Scotty Scummers, I think John Leahy was an Irish American at that stage. Gareth Maguire, of course, who's one of the best Irish players of all time as well, and they were fantastic, and they had a lot of success at that stage. It's, of course, they would have been coached a lot by Danny Fulton as well, who again is another one of those kind of stalwarts of Irish basketball.
Carmody again with another great finish for Demons. He's had some game.
Yeah, he's been certainly a fantastic player here for Demons. Demons, look, I'd say that they probably haven't really had to go beyond second gear.
Yeah, I thought maybe, with it being a semifinal, that Dublin would have put it up to them a little bit more, maybe using their speed or youth or athleticism or tempo even.
Yeah.
But none of those things have arisen. See Shane McCarthy going off to a great round of applause, well deserved. Again, another fella. This would have been his 19th season now at senior level.
It's incredible. He's one of those players that I enjoyed watching him last year in the same competition. You never know when he's going to throw an around the back pass or something a little bit crafty.
That's right. That's right.
He gets as much joy out of that as anything else.
Absolutely. I found Shane to be one of the most intelligent guys that I worked with over the years. He really, really does know the game.
That's a nice long-range 3 there. Jay Lloyd hitting that 3 for Dublin Lions, but unfortunately, this little bit of offense that they're coming up with, they're still probably going to end up in the kind of 55 range. If they, with 5.5 minutes to go, they're at 44. But one of the disappointing things from a Dublin Lions point of view again is that you sometimes expect that, at least if you're going against a team that might have that little bit more talent, that maybe you might up the physicality stakes and try and take them out of their groove a little bit. But I think they kind of were made pay very early on when they kind of stepped back and allowed Shane Collin and Carmody and some of those guys to hit open shots. And then once that Demons belief was there, I think Lions may have kind of felt that it wasn't going to be their day, which they probably haven't played. They'll be a little bit disappointed themselves in kind of how they played, particularly that early first quarter.
Well, it's certainly a steep learning curve for them, you know, and you don't want to go extreme and say boys versus men, but it's a very young team. And
Definitely.
I'm sure there's a lot of good basketball coming from Dublin Lions.
Yeah, definitely.
And so in some ways, maybe as a club that they see that this is part of their curve.
Yeah, 100%. You don't come down and beating demons in any competition is always going to be tough, but especially, as we said, a club with so much cup pedigree, you kind of have to develop that over time. And I certainly know that I think we lost maybe 3 or 4 semi-finals before we ever won a Super League semi-final to get to the final. So. And we took some pretty severe beatings in 1 or 2 of those at the hands of Colester over the years. So
it makes the wins all the sweeter.
Yeah, definitely. Good job by Calnan getting to the basket there. He's a good physical player. He's of course up in Dublin. I think only in the he was playing for Marie last year, I believe, but. With work commitments and different things, he wasn't able to travel back as much. The Marie team, of course, who play in the Super League, one of their big challenges is that a lot of their guys do live in Dublin, so they have to commute back down, which shows kind of a huge desire to represent their own club and how much it means to them. But it isn't an easy thing to do, of constantly being up and down, and it means that trainings and different things can be a little bit disjointed with depending on who's back in the area and who's not.
Well, getting consistency, whether it be, you know, your training, your game performances, getting that consistency, you know, that's what leads to your path, and the path could either be up or down.
Yep.
We've 34-point lead here for Demons, and they're going to take their time here, run some clock.
Another outside shot, no good there. But Demons have been a little bit untested, but very good value for their place in the cup final in 3 weeks' time. They're going to be a very difficult challenge for whoever they end up playing in this second game between League Sub Zalgiris and UCD Marion, which I expect will be a lot feistier. Two kind of teams that know each other a little bit better than these teams would know each other, and a little bit more size, a little bit more physicality on both sides. The Zalgiris team, of course, would have had a lot of guys, well, a couple of guys who played at Super League level with Dublin Inter. It's Giannis used to say to us when we were playing Dublin Inter, it's like these guys have basketball in their in their DNA. It's just part of who they are. A lot of them are Lithuanian, and yeah, it's just they grow up and they know it, and it's kind of built into them exactly that. And it goes back to that point of watching European basketball. It's these guys grow up on everything, and they see players and they've idolized them, and they've been able to kind of try and replicate games, which is exactly what you want young Irish players being able to do.
Sure, and in these Eastern European countries, especially the likes of Lithuania, that's their primary sport. That's their first sport.
Yeah, it's first sport, which makes it even more remarkable when you see the Irish under-18 girls go over there and split the series one apiece in the friendly series they had before the Europeans last summer. To go into Lithuania and beat a Lithuanian team is fantastic.
Well, it is. We took our under-16s last December, 7-8 months ahead of Europeans. We wanted to kind of raise the bar again, try to get these guys to see what it is, what's the standard that we need to aspire to, and so I remember, again, topical. We have David Lehane now checking out, but David Lehane, came to me post-game, and I said, what did you think? He said, well, I had difficulty getting my shot off. And again, he had to deal with the new level of length and strength and power. But then he knew. The point being is he learned from that, and by the time we got to Europeans in August, he was able to get his shot off and score double figures multiple times.
Yep. One of the things that can often happen at underage level, but at all levels really in Irish basketball, is that you can get away with bad habits. Young players in particular have a habit of like bringing the ball down as they go to shoot, not actually being ready to catch and shoot, and you can get away with that when you play local league or even at national level here in Ireland at stages. But when you face that kind of longer length, it's just stuff that you can't afford to do. And
it's the old playground saying in the States. They say when you're the best one on the block, you got to get off the block.
Yeah.
You have to take your game to another playground.
Yep. And it's been one of the positive things. That's a lovely take inside, lovely finish there.
Terrific. Blake Murphy. I had heard a lot about Blake over the last 2 years, and great to see him playing again at a senior level.
It's a nice pick and roll. That's one of the nicer offenses that Dublin Lions have had. A little bit more structure to it there. But one of the positive things for Ireland in general, and it's something that hopefully over the next 4 or 5 years is going to happen more and more, is that we're starting to schedule games against better competition and people are willing to play us, and that's a level of respect as well that we're starting to develop in Europe, that with absolutely no disrespect to Wales, for example, it's not, you don't want to constantly be just playing against teams like Wales. You need to be setting the standard higher, that you're looking to aspire to play against those higher level teams, because it's only, as you said, it's only by doing that you kind of are able to raise your own level up again higher.
Absolutely, and again, it was so impressive.
That's a lovely three in the.
Terrific shot there by Daniel Thompson. We're at 86-49 with 2 minutes remaining here. 2 minutes. But back to the point on, what an incredible achievement by Basketball Ireland in the hosting of the under-18s.
Yeah, it was a remark. I still kind of have goosebumps when I think of a full National Basketball Arena singing Ole Ole during a European final. We sometimes wonder, it's like, how many people do you think we actually could have gotten to go to that final? Because just absolutely inundated with people trying to get tickets. Like my own brother-in-law getting on to me. There's none, we couldn't fit anybody else in, and that's also a thing for Irish basketball. That'll be very interesting over the next couple of years, as you've seen it with ladies Gaelic football, where they're really pushing the boundaries of even their own finals, where they're playing in Croke Park, and in the last couple of years they've gone from, I think it was 26,000 to 43,000 at their finals, and that's kind of the next stage for Irish basketball. Hopefully, it will be in a couple of years' time, seeing the likes of the Cup final, rather than being in the National Basketball Arena, having it that's not big enough a venue for us, and having to find somewhere else so we could have it.
That's right. That would be a very good problem. But again, what I'm also hoping is that, you know, FIBA officials sat up and took notice of the way that it was organized, the way that it was supported.
Yep, definitely.
It's very important that, you know, that you're getting crowds out to these games. And I would venture to say it's not the last time we're going to host.
No, definitely not. And of course, in this venue, we'll have the senior women's small countries. But I certainly know that FIBA were very positive about everything, and a lot of those tournaments aren't the greatest supported tournaments at underage level. But you could see this was something that the Irish public really got behind, and the team were a fantastic team to support. But it was certainly a great occasion. And this game here, we've got just 17 seconds left on the clock. Demons very deserving winners against the young Dublin Lions team, and they've booked their place in the final. The second semi-final will be coming up shortly. Myself and Pat will be back in commentary. You can download our podcast, which will be starting next month, to continue hearing our conversations, but we'll be back to you shortly for the second game.